Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Now I've recently been looking at some older cameras, particularly Nikon and my little Olympus XZ2. And a lot of you have found it really interesting in looking at these older cameras. Now these Nikon cameras are still great today, and I'm absolutely blown away by how good the results are from these Nikon cameras. But I've now decided to take a look at some of the earlier Sony stills cameras. Now I've been using Sony video cameras since 1985, and they have made brilliant video cameras since the 60s and 70s, certainly in the broadcast market, and I've been using them in my business for many years. But I wanted to look at their sort of inroad into photography. It really did grow when they purchased Konica Minolta's camera division, and that enabled them to really produce, you know, the first mirrorless, real true mirrorless cameras. But back in 2005, which is 19 years ago, they introduced a bridge camera that was revolutionary back then. And I tell you what, it's still really good today. Now I picked this one up on eBay for 130 quid. Here it is. And it's the Sony DSC R1, and it is a bridge camera with a lovely lens. It's got a 24 to 120, yeah, 24 to 120 lens. That's in APS-C terms, so that's about 35 to 180, something like that, 35 to 200. I put a link in the description in this video what that is in full frame terms. But to put an APS-C sensor in a bridge camera like this is even revolutionary from today's point of view, because most of these bridge cameras today have a smaller 1-inch sensor, and sometimes even smaller than that. So to have an APS-C camera in a relatively compact size, it's not that compact, but a fairly compact size, I think is pretty impressive. It's only a 10.1 megapixel sensor, but back then was incredible to have a 10.1 megapixel sensor in such a compact camera. Now I've actually taken some photographs with this camera, and they still stand up today. They still work really well. Now I'm going to go through quickly some of them. I've only taken them in my garden, I haven't been out and about with it, but I will go through a few on my computer here. I'll also put these few images up on my Flickr page where you can take a closer look at them. Now, the only issue with a 10 megapixel sensor is cropping, because you don't have the flexibility to crop very tightly. But if you get it right in camera, there's no reason why you can't use these images. The lens is sharp, it produces nice colours. The white balance is a bit off with these old cameras. I find the white balance, and you'll see that when you look at these pictures, because I haven't really done much with them. But if you shoot RAW, because incredibly enough, even though this is 19 years old, it did shoot RAW. It wouldn't do RAW and JPEG. I haven't found a way of doing that yet. It only done RAW or JPEG. So I've made a mistake and actually shot most of them in JPEG, and then I found out that I could switch to RAW, and then I took, you know, a lot more in RAW, and RAW is what I would stick with. It's got a fantastic grip. In fact, you know, it's a really nice grip. Now, whether it's the size of my hands or what, I don't know. Now, the hot shoe is offset from the top. Normally it'd be over the top. They've actually put an articulating 2-inch articulating screen actually on the top here. And I'm finding that really good. I don't really like the articulating screens that come out the side of a body. I know they're great for vlogging, but I find I'm not looking directly down the camera lens. Having one that flips upwards, I mean, it's a great design. And also, it works like using a medium format camera from years ago. You can do waist level shots just looking down at the main screen like this, rather than the monitor being away to one side. You're looking straight down the same perspective of where the lens is, as though you're looking straight down the camera lens. And I find that really good. It's, you know, it's not a great screen because of the age of the screen, but it does get the job done, and I think the screen is completely fine for, you know, what it was designed for, and even using it in these days, I think the screen is absolutely fine. And it's got a 2.3 million dot viewfinder, which was colossal back then. That was pretty impressive to have an electronic viewfinder in such early days as far as digital was concerned. And the other great thing is they've put a joystick on this camera. Can you believe that? Even a lot of the modern cameras don't have an autofocus joystick. This one does have an autofocus joystick. Not that you'll see the focus point moving, I don't think, but it's got an autofocus joystick, so you can actually select your focus point just by moving a joystick. Obviously the screen isn't touch screen, not that you would expect it to be, not at that age. And it's got so many manual controls, ever so quick and easy to set your ISO, set your exposure compensation. I mean, exposure compensation, I've just got set to this back dial here. I mean, if you're in aperture priority, because it's got a PASM dial on the side here, if you're in aperture priority, just use the dial on the control wheel to set your aperture. So, you know, very easy camera to use, very nice camera to use with a really nice lens, really nice quality lens. So you can either use the screen for composing your image, or you can use the viewfinder. And to have live view on a camera of this age was revolutionary. It had never been done before. I think it was absolutely revolutionary. Manual focus, autofocus switch on the side, white balance switch on the side, and various other switches. It takes two types of memory card. So you've got on the side here either your compact flash it will take, which is, you know, obviously an old format these days, but you can still get them and you still get the card readers. So it takes compact flash. I mean, that's an 8 gig card I got in there. Yeah, I've got an 8 gig compact flash card in there, or it takes a Memory Stick Pro. I've got a bit confused with this Memory Stick Pro though, because I've got loads of Memory Stick Pro sticks and they're too thin. They don't fit in this slot. So there must have been a different design, or maybe there's an adapter, I don't know. If somebody can help me with that, in locating a Memory Stick Pro stick that will work with this camera, that would be fantastic. But compact flash is fine. I mean, all you do is switch between it, which one you want to use. On the bottom here, just switch between compact flash or Memory Stick Pro. So there we go. That's pretty much you know, what the camera can do. And this was revolutionary back then, but they never carried on with this style. They never carried on with this particular format, which was a bit of a shame. You can still get the batteries today. In fact, it's the same battery that goes in the A100 and various other Sony cameras of that era, you know. But now let's take a quick look at the images that I've taken with this, and you'll see that it does take nice sharp images, but as I say, because it's only 10 megapixel, you won't want to be cropping. If you was able to pick up a good quality, you know, used copy of the Sony R1, yeah, you know, nice sharpness, nice clarity. As I say, you can see there that you can't crop in too tight. But other than that, you'll be able to print these images. You'll be able to put them on your Facebook, your Instagram. Sharpness is still really nice. It's got a lovely lens. So it does create a nice sharp image. Whites are pretty good. And so I have found the white balance. That's the other thing I've noticed with this particular camera. It hasn't got auto rotate. I can't find a way of auto rotating the images. So I just do it on the computer rather than worrying about doing it, you know, in camera, as it were. But yeah, you see there it hasn't rotated the images. Let's go around, come on. There we go. But all the other things, look how sharp that is. And so these images will be put on my Flickr page, so you can actually take a look at them. And you see there, nice and sharp, beautiful. And the fact that you can move the focus point with a joystick nice and easily, I think it's phenomenal for a camera of that age. I really, really, genuinely do. I think it's awesome. And it's a fun camera to use. You see the white balance there is way out. I know what that should look like, and it's not quite like that. But because it shoots RAW, easy to adjust if you so want to. I'm enjoying playing with these old cameras. I think they're, you know, they're really good, and there's still some mileage in them. The Nikons were particularly good, but yeah, the Sony DSC R1, and it's got features, I say, that are very similar. Wouldn't be out of place today, you know, and it's got a feel of a modern camera. You don't feel like you're going out with an old camera. The autofocus is a lot slower than it would be with a modern camera. I guess that's its biggest flaw, and it's only 10 megapixel is its other flaw. But I say floor, it's 19 years old. Now when this came out, this retailed for just under £1,000. So if you went into a calculator that took into consideration inflation and what have you, I bet it'd be around about £1,700–1,800 these days. What you can get for that money these days is phenomenal compared to what we paid back then. But yeah, great piece of kit, great piece of history, I think, the DSC-R1. It's a shame that Sony never developed this format any further, never done any more with this particular style of camera. But there we go. Yeah, that's the Sony DSC-R1 APS-C sensor bridge camera. Hope you found that useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to take a look at the images on Flickr. I'll make sure the link is in the description of this video. And don't forget to subscribe and like if you like this video. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.